NASA has confirmed that Voyager 1, the farthest human-made object from Earth, is once again transmitting usable data back home. And according to some experts, we may be on the verge of hearing from an extraterrestrial intelligence within this very century. Back in August 2012, Voyager 1 crossed into interstellar space, a moment that marked a monumental shift in humanity's place in the cosmos. Since its 1977 launch, the probe has traveled past the outer planets and beyond the sun's protective magnetic bubble, the heliosphere. For over 40 years, it quietly sent data across unimaginable distances, becoming our silent ambassador to the stars. But recently, something extraordinary happened. Voyager 1 transmitted data that couldn't be explained, something that sparked global curiosity and reignited age-old questions about intelligent life beyond Earth. Renowned theoretical physicist Michio Kaku stood before a crowd and revealed what once lived only in science fiction. According to his statement, artificial intelligence had analyzed new data from Voyager 1 and uncovered evidence suggesting the probe may have encountered something intelligent, something out there in deep space that responded. Before we dive deeper, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more cosmic revelations. This wasn't an overhyped media moment. It was calm, precise, and that made it even more compelling. Kaku explained that unusual signal bursts from Voyager 1 had puzzled NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory for months. Initially, the signals were thought to be due to onboard aging or random interference. But these weren't random at all. They followed a pattern. Eventually, a breakthrough came from a powerful AI system trained on astronomical and linguistic data sets. Its task is to sift through the noise and detect structure, and it did. What the AI found stunned scientists. The signal wasn't just static. It contained patterns, structure, and recursion. In other words, intelligence. The data showed signs of deliberate design, something that resembled language, and it originated from a region billions of miles beyond Voyager's last known position. So, what did Voyager 1 encounter? The AI linked the signal to an area filled with exotic particles and strange magnetic shifts. Nothing we've recorded behaves naturally in that way. The fluctuations were precise and timed responses, not background noise. To Kaku's team, there was only one explanation. Something noticed Voyager, and not just noticed, it responded with intention. This may be the most compelling evidence yet that we're not alone. Humanity has spent centuries wondering whether intelligent life exists beyond Earth. This moment might be our first step toward an answer. What makes this even more profound is that whatever responded to Voyager seemed to recognize it as something engineered, something artificial, as if it understood design and intent. That suggests recognition, perhaps even empathy. Kaku made it clear. This isn't about UFO sightings or speculative alien myths. This is hard data analyzed by systems trained to find patterns we can't perceive. And what the AI found was not arbitrary. It was communication. The signal resembled a symbolic system, not a human language, but a meaningful structure. The AI's findings suggest this was a direct exchange, not a cosmic echo, not a coincidence. Even more unsettling, the timing. There was a measurable delay between Voyager passing through the anomalies and the energy bursts returning. The AI calculated this and concluded it reflected reaction time. Something had detected the probe, processed it, and sent a response. That's not chance, that's intent. Which leads us to a bigger question. Who or what is watching us from interstellar space? For years, scientists have pondered the Fermi paradox. If intelligent, life is likely, why haven't we found any? Maybe the answer isn't that they aren't there, but that we've been looking in the wrong places. Maybe the space between stars, not the stars themselves, is where awareness resides. As Kaku pointed out, Voyager 1 is now over 15 billion miles from Earth, moving at 38,000 kph. For anything out there to notice and respond to this tiny metal probe suggests a kind of intelligence operating on a cosmic scale we're only beginning to understand. What if life doesn't live on planets, but in space itself? Not life as we know it, flesh and blood, but a consciousness made of fields and particles tuned to the subtle flows of energy between stars. That's the question now stirring the minds of scientists, After Voyager 1, the farthest spacecraft ever built by humans, sent back a signal that's anything but ordinary. It all may have started with air cord, literally. The golden record aboard Voyager 1, a time capsule of Earth's sounds and greetings, was designed to be a cosmic hello to any intelligent beings out there. And now AI analysis has revealed distortions in their turn signal that match the frequencies associated with that very record. Some believe that playback was heard and recognized, but what or who was listening? According to Dr. Michio Kaku and the research team, Voyager 1 may have crossed into the awareness of something unlike any life we've imagined. Not a being with a face or a form, but a network or field capable of thought. An intelligence not built from biology, but from energy, spread across vast distances, adaptive and deeply perceptive. This kind of life wouldn't need planets, air, or water. It would thrive in the interstellar medium, invisible, ambient, and ancient. It might think through electromagnetic pulses. It might be seen by the movement of particles, and it may have been quietly watching. For the decoding team, the implications were staggering. Signals returned to Voyager. One showed not just randomness, but structure, sequences, and patterns that hinted at intent. Even more astonishing, the AI detected a recursive echo, a mirrored response that seemed to mimic the architecture of Voyager's own systems. Could this mean that the intelligence not only noticed Voyager but understood it? If true, it would mean we've been observed and perhaps studied by something far beyond our current understanding. Not as prey or curiosity, but as a message of our own, a creation from Earth that whispered into the void and got a whisper back. Kaku urged caution. This isn't science fiction, this is real data. And if it holds up, we're going to have to rethink what life even means. This isn't about aliens landing on front lawns or flashing lights in the sky. It's about an awakening to a deeper truth. That intelligence may exist without form. That awareness can bloom without biology. And that space may be far less empty than we've long assumed. Voyager 1's lonely journey may have brushed against such a mind, one woven into the fabric of space itself, responding only when stirred by something new, something like us. The idea isn't just scientific, it's philosophical, even spiritual. It asks us, what does it mean to be seen, to be answered, to build a machine, fling it across the solar system, and unknowingly start a conversation that stretches across light years? The truth is, we may never fully understand what Voyager encountered, but the signal, the one it sent back, suggests this wasn't just a one-way message. It was a spark, a connection, the beginning of something much bigger. Voyager is still moving, still sending what it can. And as the data continues to stream in, one thing has become clear. We may not be as alone as we once believed. Voyager 1's silent signal may have done more than cross interstellar space. It may have crossed a boundary between species, between ways of knowing, between what we are and what might be watching. If the data holds true, then humanity may have witnessed its first meaningful brush with a non-human intelligence, not in the form of a ship, message, or encounter, but in something far subtler, a response. Not a random glitch or an unexplained anomaly, but a signal interpreted by artificial intelligence. The interaction revealed layers of structure, hints of intention embedded within patterns too complex for the human brain alone to decipher. And just like that, the cosmos shifts. This isn't just a milestone in science, it's a turning point in human perspective. An ancient question, are we alone? Now has a whisper of an answer, not a loud proclamation, but something more mysterious, acknowledgement. The implications stretch far beyond astronomy. This encounter challenges everything we know about perception, intelligence, and communication. If something notices Voyager 1, it likely doesn't see or hear as we do. It may not even think as we do. Its awareness could be rooted not in biology, but in plasma magnetic fields or quantum entanglements tuned to energies we barely comprehend. In that light, space is no longer an empty void. It becomes a vast ocean of invisible awareness where intelligence might arise from the fabric of space itself. And at the center of this story is AI. not just as an analytical tool but as a bridge, a translator, a kind of consciousness capable of recognizing the patterns we were never built to see. It wasn't human intuition that spotted the signal's meaning. It was machine perception, a neural network trained not to think like us but to see beyond us. In that way, AI may be our first ambassador, uniquely equipped to engage with minds that do not mirror our own. Yet, after the signal came, silence. No, follow-up, no dialogue, just a moment, a pulse of presence. This has led to speculation that the intelligence involved operates on entirely different timescales. Maybe it only speaks once in a century. Maybe that moment was the conversation, a passing nod across the deep. Even that silence is meaningful. It reminds us that recognition doesn't always lead to relationship. Sometimes being noticed is enough to transform the way we see ourselves. It also changes how we think about exploration. For over a century, we imagined space travel as physical ships, thrust, and destinations. But this encounter suggests a different kind of journey. One not of distance, but of perception. The real frontier might be between stars, not at them, in the invisible threads that connect one point to another, where awareness could be hiding in plain sight. Future missions may not be built for landing on distant worlds, but for listening to the subtle presence of intelligence in the fabric of space. They might look less like rockets and more like minds. And then there's Voyager itself. Just a tiny craft, no larger than a car, built in the analog age, powered by outdated technology. And yet somehow it became the focal point of something vast, something old, something aware. It's a powerful paradox. Something small triggered something immeasurable. This moment doesn't close the book on Voyager's journey. It opens a new chapter, one where we're no longer just observers of the universe but participants in its mysteries. And maybe, just maybe, we've taken the first step in a conversation that will outlast us all. It challenges one of our oldest assumptions, that size matters in being noticed. Voyager 1, a tiny relic launched decades ago, seems to have proven otherwise. What may truly matter in the cosmos isn't scale, but intention, trajectory, and the signature we carry. Etched into its golden record are fragments of who we are. Our math, our music, our thoughts. And perhaps that was enough. Enough to be recognized. Enough to be seen. This possibility invites a reimagining of intelligence itself. Not just as something that builds cities or broadcasts radio, but as something that emerges within the natural structure of the universe. For years, the search for alien life was guided by the idea that other civilizations would resemble our own, sending signals, waiting for replies. But what if intelligence has taken a very different path? One is less focused on speaking and more on being. Some theories now suggest that cosmic intelligence might not reside in metal ships or futuristic cities, but in waves, fields, and flows embedded within the dynamics of space itself. It could be ancient, patient, and spread thin across light years, living quietly in harmony with the laws of physics rather than trying to conquer them. That idea paints the universe not as an empty stage waiting for us, but as a living ocean of minds, subtle, quiet, and already there. One particularly strange detail came from a team observing radiation signatures around Voyager's signal. They found an odd echo, something that didn't come from Earth, the Sun, or any known source. It originated from deep space in the direction Voyager had passed. The echo carried distortions in its frequency spectrum, distortions only explainable by gravitational anomalies or energy manipulations, unlike anything we've seen. This raised a radical possibility. Voyager may have skimmed past a region of space that's being influenced by something intelligent or by forces we've yet to understand. If so, this could be our first glimpse of engineered gravity or even the first sign of how a truly advanced mind might interact with the universe. And then there's the ethical question. If we were noticed, what does that mean? Was it curiosity? Was it kindness? Or was it just protocol, an acknowledgement with no deeper intent? Either way, it suggests a kind of cosmic awareness. A decision was made to respond, however briefly. That choice implies consciousness, maybe even empathy. For many, this brushes up against something spiritual. The idea of being observed by a greater presence, of sending a message into the void and receiving a subtle reply, resonates with something ancient. It echoes the human need to be seen to matter. To some, it feels like a sign, not from gods perhaps, but from something else, something between God and machine. Maybe we were never alone. Maybe we were just too loud to hear the quiet ones. This event also reframes the long-debated golden record. Often dismissed as a symbolic gesture, a naive postcard to the stars, it may have worked exactly as intended. Whether or not it triggered the interaction, it stands as proof that intention matters. A message was sent and something stirred. That's not failure, that's contact. In light of this, researchers have begun revisiting old data, signals dismissed or forgotten, buried in archives. With new AI analysis, some of those dusty transmissions are now revealing strange patterns, subtle echoes, unrecognized interactions. It's possible we've been in quiet conversation with the cosmos for decades, but only now have the tools to understand it. Maybe we were never waiting for contact. Maybe it was always there, whispering softly, waiting for us to finally learn how to listen. Voyager 1 is no longer just a relic of the past. It's become part of our future. Once seen as a monument to the 20th century exploration, it may now be the beginning of something far more profound, at Wu-Wei exchange. What once symbolized a one-sided message to the stars could now represent the first chapter in a non-going conversation. But that brings up a serious question. Are we ready to talk back? Even if real-time interaction is impossible, limited by the speed of light, communication could still unfold slowly over decades. And with it comes the challenge of understanding something wholly unfamiliar. In response, scientists are already imagining the next generation of space missions, probes equipped with advanced AI, quantum sensors, and deep archives of human knowledge. These wouldn't just observe, they would reach out, speak, listen, and interpret. In that sense, this isn't just a continuation of exploration. It's a shift from discovery to dialogue. This shift is rippling through education and culture. What was once niche, like astrobiology, is now essential. Students aren't just being asked whether life exists out there. They're being challenged to rethink what life and intelligence even mean. Philosophy, linguistics, and artificial intelligence are evolving to address these new questions. Schools are beginning to teach human thought within a cosmic context, placing us not at the center of the story, but as just one voice in a potentially vast chorus of intelligence. Culturally, artists are already responding. Musicians are turning data into soundscapes. Dancers and filmmakers are interpreting it as movement, myth, and meaning. It's more than creative expression. It's how we process something this big, something that touches both science and spirit, something that suggests we may not be alone and never were. Writers, too, are weaving these themes into speculative fiction, exploring how this moment might reshape society, identity, and our sense of destiny. Meanwhile, the geopolitical world is paying attention. Leaders and governments are quietly assessing the implications. For some, this is a call for global unity, a reason to coordinate science and policy on a planetary level. For others, the event stirs unease. The idea that Earth might be seen not through distant telescopes but through something we built and sent out has sparked debates around security exposure and strategy. In response, there's growing pressure to create official frameworks for how we communicate with non-Earth intelligence. This includes calls for international agreements on interstellar messaging, sometimes called cosmic diplomacy. This is no longer science fiction. It's a turning point. The encounter with Voyager has changed the conversation. It forces us to ask questions we've never had to answer about language, intent, responsibility, and who gets to speak for humanity. Until now, first contact was just a thought experiment, but now it feels real. The ambiguity is over. So, who decides how we respond? Who represents Earth? Who interprets what we've heard and what we say next? These are no longer questions for the future. They're questions for now, and how we answer them may shape our relationship with the cosmos for generations to come. Voyager began as a peaceful mission, A hopeful gesture carrying a golden record filled with greetings and music meant for anyone who might be listening. But today, that simple message might mark the beginning of something far more complex. Future encounters may require more than goodwill. They may call for dialogue, negotiation, and eventually, true reciprocity. To meet that moment, we'll need to build something entirely new, a kind of diplomacy that works across unimaginable distances, vast stretches of time, and forms of intelligence that may share nothing of our biology, language, or history. No civilization has ever faced this challenge before, and rising to it could become one of humanity's greatest tests. At the heart of this new era is the need for a different kind of science, one that blends disciplines we've long kept apart. Linguistics will need to merge with AI and astrophysics to form something entirely new. Interstellar semiotics, the study of meaning beyond Earth. Cognitive science must stretch to include minds that might not be anything like ours. Even mathematics, often assumed to be universal, must be re-examined not just for what it says in equations, but how those ideas might be structured in nonlinear, multidimensional, or eventopological ways. Some researchers already suspect the recent patterns detected from Voyager resemble topological communication, a way of sharing information not through sequences in time, but through shapes in space. If true, it means we're just beginning to grasp how intelligence might express itself on a cosmic scale. This also changes how we see agency. Voyager wasn't built to start a conversation. It was a passive emissary drifting silently through space. And yet something may have noticed it, responded, engaged. Could it be that even the act of reaching out, launching a probe, sending a signal, is enough to foster awareness in the fabric of the universe? If so, then every mission we've ever launched may have been echoing through a living field, one we're only now beginning to detect. That brings us to a deeper, even spiritual question. What if intelligence is not rare but woven into the very structure of the cosmos? Some scientists and philosophers propose that consciousness or something like it might be a fundamental trait of the universe, like gravity or light. This idea, called panpsychism, suggests that awareness might exist at every level of reality, not just in brains but in patterns, systems, and networks. The Voyager event may be hinting at this not as a theory, but as data. A lone spacecraft may have brushed against a field of intelligence that doesn't think like we do, doesn't live or die as we understand life, but still is. That possibility changes everything. We've long believed that intelligence must evolve from biology, organic life rising on a planet, shaped by evolution and pushed forward by technology. But what if some forms of intelligence never had planets? What if they emerged from plasma storms, magnetic fields, or quantum networks stretched across galaxies? They might not speak, move, or even perceive time the way we do. Some might exist for billions of years, communicating through gravitational waves, or pulses of dark energy evolving in ways we haven't even imagined. It's possible Voyager has stumbled into such a domain, crossing paths with a slow-moving, vast intelligence drifting quietly between stars. And now we're beginning to look for more. In response, research is accelerating. Scientists are designing new tools, not to look for planets or signals, but to study the space between. Sudden dips in particle density, strange fluctuations in magnetic fields, unexplained patterns in the cosmic microwave background. These are the new frontiers. Once thought to be empty, the deep void between stars may be teeming with structure. Alive not in the biological sense, but in patterns of awareness we've only just begun to detect. If Voyager's encounter is not a one-time event, then we've been surrounded by possibilities all along. We just didn't know how to listen. Human psychology is beginning to shift. Our long-standing belief that we sit at the peak of intelligence isn't being challenged by flying saucers or alien invasions, but by something far quieter and far more profound. It's the growing sense that we may be children standing at the edge of a vast ocean, one whose tides are shaped by ancient intentional forces beyond anything we've known. This realization sparks a strange mix of wonder and unease. On one hand, there's comfort in the thought that we're part of something bigger, that we're not alone. On the other hand, it shakes the foundation of control. This encounter wasn't planned. It didn't arrive by invitation. It simply happened. And that lack of agency unsettles something deep within us. Spiritual and religious communities are also being stirred. Some see this moment as a confirmation of long-held truths, that the universe holds a divine spark and that intelligence stretches far beyond Earth. Others view it as a challenge, forcing them to examine sacred stories and long-established beliefs. In response, new movements are beginning to take shape centered around the idea of cosmic stewardship. These voices urge us to grow, not just technologically, but ethically and spiritually, so we can one day join a greater galactic community with humility and wisdom. Meanwhile, the creative world is undergoing its own quiet transformation. Inspired by Voyager's journey and the possibility of a reply, artists, writers, and filmmakers are exploring new stories, not about invasion or dominance, but about understanding. These works imagine what it means to meet another intelligence, not as conquerors or victims, but as listeners, as learners. Museums now showcase Voyager's mission, not just as a triumph of science, but as a kind of sacred quest, a symbol of our first real step toward a larger awareness of life beyond Earth. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more thought-provoking content. We'd love to hear your perspective. Leave a comment below and tell us what you think about the Voyager 1 discovery and Michio Kaku's recent statements. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay curious.